Hi, in the previous video I showed you how to create a penny can alcohol stove, and using bioethanol as fuel we could achieve a beautiful almost blue color flame. And we did it by creating holes of 0.7 millimeter, 14 of them. These are small soda cans, and you have the whole procedure. I'll put the link of that video in the description. Now after we create the stove and we turn it on, we have the flame. The size of those flame basically depends on amount of fuel that we put in and depends on how hot the stove is. Basically, after we turn it on, we don't have much control over the size of the flame. Of course, if you care about the amount of heat that is going to your pot, you can just adjust the height of your pot above the stove, and then you can transfer the amount of heat that you want. But imagine if we want to control the size of this flame, then what can we do? Of course, we don't want to make another stove with different hole size and different number of holes to create different size flame. We want to change the flame that we have here. Now, for example, in these old type of burners, we turn this knob, the wick comes out and we have more flame. Or we go down, the flame will be smaller. Or same way for a gas stove, you can turn the knobs right and left, and that will basically change the amount of flame. What can we do for this type of alcohol stove that we have created in the last video? Alright, so originally I thought that the stove would get hot because of the flame, and the alcohol will vaporize, and because we have vapor of alcohol inside, this creates a little bit overpressure, and therefore the vapor comes out of these holes and then it mixes with oxygen, and then we have the flame. Having that in my mind, I decided to create a hole at the bottom of these, connecting a pipe to it. I was thinking that if I close this pipe, then the pressure inside will be a little bit more, so we can have larger flame. And if I open this pipe, the pressure will be lesser because some of the vapors will go from here, and therefore we will have lesser flame. So I have created this, and I created a stand so that we can actually put it in and tested it. Of course, I have already tested it. I know that this one is not going to work, but I'm going to demonstrate it to you. So this pipe is actually connected to the base, a pretty large pipe compared to the holes that we have here. So we expect that if we block this, then the size of the flame should be larger. If we remove this, open it, the size of the flame should be smaller. Let's see what happens to this. Okay. Of course, now some of the alcohol will go out from here, but most of it will be spread throughout the can. Turn off the light. Alright, so you can see that the tube is open and we have that size of the flame. Even if I close the tube, the flame has basically the same size. It doesn't change. So I block the tube. This is the size. I open it. So basically adding a pipe and blocking it or opening it will not change the size of the flame that we have. Later on, after I thought about it and also had a great discussion with AI, I figured out that the mechanism of operation is a little bit different. Actually, because there are many holes on these, obviously the pressure inside and outside will be almost the same. So there is no difference in pressure, maybe very, very little. So the way it works is that because of the heat, the alcohol will vaporize, and inside the can will be completely filled with alcohol vapor. And because we have high concentration of alcohol vapor inside and low concentration of alcohol vapor outside, from high concentration the vapor wants to go to the low concentration, and therefore it wants to go out and it wants to come to the air. And maybe now you say that why it goes from the top, not from the bottom? Because of course the hot vapor prefers to go up because of buoyancy force, and therefore the vapor goes from the top part and it mixes with oxygen. We have the flame there. So whether I block this tube or open it, I will not change the vapor that is escaping from the top of the can. So using this method, actually I cannot control the size of this flame. However, another important thing that we can notice is that I have tried it a few times now. Of course it's a little bit hot. You can notice that whenever I touch this, the flame size slightly changes. And that is because if we change the temperature of this can, we will have different amount of vapor production. So by controlling the temperature of the can, actually I can control the flame size. I have to make a setup that permits me to change the temperature of this can, and because of that, we will be able to change the size of the flame. Alright, so now I will show you how to achieve this. Let me turn on the lights. We don't need this one anymore. Alright, so my strategy is to control the temperature of the can by immersing the can inside a pot of water. But because inside of this is empty, if we immerse it in water, actually it is gonna float and moves around. So we have to make the stove in such a way that it's a little bit heavy. So instead of the one that I already created, I'm going to make a new one. So same strategy, we create the holes, the center hole, we put the fiberglass. But this time before we put the last part into this, we're going to add some weight inside. I'm going to use metallic nuts. So because of that, the stove will be heavier, and therefore it's not going to float when we put the stove inside water. And gently press it. Don't want to press it in front of camera. It requires a lot of force. Alright, so we have created a new one. This one is heavy. We're gonna cut the top part. This time we are going to make it a little bit longer. Basically this will be our stove, and this is heavy. I'm going to clean this a little bit. Alright, so now the stove is ready. Because we are going to put this in water, we don't want the water to be encapsulated here. So I'm gonna create a small cut in this region so that water can go in. Only in the lower part. You can see that this part is completely isolated from the inner side of the can. Alright, so now we have our stove ready. It's also a little bit heavy, so it's not going to float. Here, we're going to do this. So I have a can which is filled with water, and this will be my stove. Now you can see that if I put this one here, because this is without the metal pieces inside, so it's going to float, and that is not what we want. We want it to be stable there. I don't know, this is too low, so I have to remove some water for the moment. Okay, so I'm going to put the can inside water. Okay. And basically what we are going to do, we're going to turn this one on and see how to control the size of the flame. Let me pour alcohol inside. This is brand new, so it needs a lot of alcohol. Okay, so because this is the first time that I turn on this stove, you can see that the flames are very unequal. So now we have flame with respectable size. I have a syringe. A tube is attached to this, and inside it is water. So I'm going to change the level of water. Because the water comes to the surface of this can, it cools down the can, and as we will observe, the size of the flame will be smaller. So by injecting water, rising the level of water, the can becomes cooler and the flame size decreases. So we should not decrease it too much, because otherwise it becomes too cold and then the flame goes away. But we have this one right now, and if I remove water from it, you can see that the flame increases. Inject water. So now we can cook our food with small amount of heat so that it slowly cooks and tastes much better. But maybe we have to rush and then we need more flame. No problem. Just remove some water, larger flame, your food will cook much faster. Of course, the water will eventually be heated, and then this control mechanism will be not very effective. But if you have cold water available that you can replace, then we can actually adjust the flame size. I think this is pretty innovative. Let's do it again. Inject water. Reduce, reduce, reduce. Not too much, not too much. Yeah, if you do it too much, then the flame will go away. Oh, it's not cold. Okay, we need some more ethanol and then it will turn on. Because it's beautiful, I'm going to show it to you again. Since it's already hot, it will turn on very fast. Large flame, we want to make it small, easy. Just inject some water. Oh, because we have too much flame. And then we want to make it large, remove water. Make it small. Inject water, but you have to do it very gently, especially if the flames are small, then we should not go too much further because then it will turn off. Remove water. Alright, so that's all for this video. See you next time. Bye.